Today's lesson is The True Spirit of Christmas, Insights from Literature. Hi, everybody. I'm Roger.
And I'm Mike.
And today we're going to continue talking about Christmas. Christmas was yesterday, but we're still in the Christmas season, which ends on or slightly after New Year's Day. So we still have some time to talk about Christmas. And last time we talked about one particular work of literature that kind of celebrates the spirit of Christmas. And that was the C.S. Lewis novel, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, because C.S. Lewis was kind of angry that Christmas had become too commercial, and he wanted to remind people of the true meaning of Christmas.
Yes, indeed. And of course, he wrote that book, which was very, very popular, both with a younger audience and then later on in different film versions and television versions. And it still is much loved today, both at Christmas and at any other time. It's not really a Christmas book. I think people read that at any time. They don't kind of save it up. And there are several sequels, right? I think he wrote many different books in the Narnia world. So if you're a fan of those, there's much joy and pleasure to be gotten from the novels of C.S. Lewis. Now let's turn our attention, though, to some other classics of the Christmas story genre that explore stories that kind of go beyond the surface meaning of Christmas, which, as we learned yesterday, for a lot of people is about shopping, is about eating, is about Christmas presents and Christmas dinners and feasts and things like that, things that kind of get into the spirit of Christmas or the true meaning of it. And we're going to have one from Charles Dickens and another one from Philip Van Doren Stern, a writer you might not have heard of, but it did inspire a very, very famous Christmas movie that is often watched religiously or traditionally at this time of year.
Another beloved classic, A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens, tells of Ebenezer Scrooge, a man who hates Christmas and treats others with cold cruelty. On Christmas Eve, 3 ghosts visit him, revealing how his bitterness has damaged himself and those around him. Moved by these visions, Scrooge promises to change his ways and transforms into as good a friend, as good a master, and as good a man as the good old city knew.
大家好，第一部分介绍名词 cruelty， 它的意思是残忍或是残酷行为。例如 The reporter's investigation revealed the cruelty with which cows are sometimes treated in meat processing plants. 记者的调查揭露了肉类加工厂有时对牛的残忍对待。或者 The poor dog had suffered cruelty from its previous owner. 那条可怜的狗遭受前任饲主的残忍对待。继续看到名词 bitterness， 表示愤怒或是怨恨。例如 The bitterness in Andy's voice bothered Casey. Andy 说话听起来愤愤不平，让 Casey 很困扰。或是Carl spoke with deep bitterness about the betrayal he experienced. Carl 满怀怨恨地谈到自己所遭受的背叛。下一个看到单字 transform， 它是动词，意思是转变或是彻底改变。例如 In the movie, the robot transforms into a sports car in seconds. 在电影中，那台机器人几秒内就变成一台跑车。也可以说 The parking lot was transformed into a beautiful park. 停车场被改造成一个美丽的公园。
Okay, so let's talk first of all about another beloved classic work of literature entitled A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. Okay, so this is the title of the book, A Christmas Carol. I was always kind of puzzled by that title because they don't seem to be singing at all in that story. A Christmas Carol is usually sung around Christmas time. You know, here comes Santa Claus, here comes Santa Claus, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Silent Night, Holy Night. Those are all Christmas carols, but in any case, that's the title of this particular book, and it tells of Ebenezer Scrooge, a man who hates Christmas and treats others with cold cruelty. Bah, humbug, he would say when people were saying Christmas is such a great thing, and he thought, oh, it's just a waste of time because we're supposed to be working and making money. So this story tells of Ebenezer Scrooge. It basically describes the life of this person. It tells us of this person, and he hates Christmas, and he he's a very cruel man. Cruelty, of course, is when you are cruel to other people. You're mean to other people, probably on purpose because you want to just simply be harmful to them because you enjoy it for whatever reason.
Absolutely. So, yes, Ebenezer Scrooge is very cheap. He won't give his employee Bob Cratchit even a little bit more money to buy some food for his starving family. He won't even allow him to put an extra piece of coal on the fire in their cold, cold office that they share together. And he is a very nasty, unpleasant man who does not understand the spirit of giving and joy and brotherhood and love that should sort of come out of people during Christmas. But on Christmas Eve, 3 ghosts visit him, revealing how his bitterness has damaged himself and those around him. These, of course, are the famous ghosts of Christmas past, Christmas present, and Christmas future. Christmas past shows him how happy he used to be, how he was in love with a young girl, and how he was well treated by his mentor, his boss, when he was younger. Christmas present shows him the situation of the people around him and how unhappy they are with him. He has family who make fun of him, who don't invite him to their Christmas parties. He has employee there, Bob Cratchit, who's at home with a sick child, and they're trying to scrape together just enough food and warmth to have even a sad little Christmas dinner. And Christmas future, he is shown when he dies, no one will miss him. Everyone will kind of say, what a nasty, horrible man. We're kind of glad he's dead. So this is kind of showing how his life of bitterness, his life of cruelty, his life of being miserable and unkind, both to himself and to other people around him, those around him, as it says, has really damaged him. And of course, this is a life-changing experience for old Ebenezer Scrooge, and he comes out of that much changed for the better.
Right, so he's been changed as a result of these visits by those ghosts, and that, of course, is what happens in this particular novel. So in any case here, let's move on to the next sentence. It says, moved by these visions, Scrooge promises to change his ways and transforms into as good a friend, as good a master, and as good a man as the good old city knew. He was moved by these visions. He was kind of scared by those ghosts, and he finally decided to turn over a new leaf, become a new man. He would change his ways, and then he transforms into a good guy. So to transform here just means to change from one thing to another one or another thing, just like the Transformers. A truck transforms into a robot.
There you go. He transforms from a miserable, cruel man to a loving family guy who's also very kind to his staff and really embraces the joy of Christmas, not just at that time of year during the season, but all the time. So he becomes a much more pleasant person. All right, let's move on to our next story, The Greatest Gift, Philip Van Doren Stern's short story that, as I mentioned earlier, inspired a Hollywood classic.
Philip Van Doren Stern's short story, The Greatest Gift, delivers a similar message with a twist. On Christmas Eve, a despairing man named George wishes he had never been born. A mysterious stranger grants his wish and shows him a world without him in it, a world where tragedy strikes those he loves. Realizing his importance, George learns to value himself and cherish life as the greatest gift.
第二部分介绍形容词 despairing， 表示绝望的或是失去希望的。可以说 Hector gave a despairing sigh when he saw the failed results. 看到失败的结果时 Hector 绝望地叹了一口气。又或者说 The soldiers fought with a despairing courage, knowing they might not survive. 士兵们带着绝望的勇气奋战，明知可能无法幸存。下一个看到动词 grant， 它的意思是准予、授予或是同意。例如 Vincent asked for extra time to finish the report, and his request was granted. Vincent 要求额外的时间来完成专案，而他的要求获得同意了。再看一个例子 The reporter was granted permission to interview the politician. 该记者获准采访这位政治人物。
Okay, our next story involving Christmas is a story by Philip Van Doren Stern. And this particular story delivers a similar message with a twist. A twist here just means something you don't expect in the story. Most of the time, of course, stories are kind of predictable. You have this person, you have this other person doing something, they have a conflict, and then they work it out, and that's the end of the story. But this one has kind of an unexpected plot twist, so that's why the story is kind of fun to read, and you can also see the movie that was based on this particular story, and it has a similar message as the one we just talked about, A Christmas Carol.
Absolutely right, and it comes with a twist. A twist is a surprise ending of some kind. So if there's a twist, not always an ending, but if there's a turn in the plot that is unexpected, that leaves you gasping and turning to the person next to you going, oh my gosh, I didn't expect that to happen. Well, that must be kind of a twist when you find out that, for example, the entire thing was a dream all along. Oh, wow, what a twist. What a shocking turn of events. What a surprise in the plot. So how does this plot go? It says on Christmas Eve, because of course all Christmas movies have to be set at Christmas. On Christmas Eve, a despairing man named George wishes he had never been born. Oh, how sad that is. Yes, he must be full of despair. Despair is like sad hopelessness. If you're despairing, it means you're hopeless. Nothing is going well. Nothing is going to get better. Everything is going to be bad or even worse in the future. And he wishes he had never been born. I think this is one of the earlier books that kind of dances around the idea of suicide, of actually this idea of people killing themselves, which is still kind of a taboo subject in many forms of entertainment. So this is a guy who really has given up on life, has given up all hope of anything good happening, and thinks that the world would be better if he wasn't around, just to show how helpless he is feeling. But then he meets a surprising stranger.
Exactly. I think the stranger was the angel. I think his name was Clarence or something like that. Oh, I'm not supposed to give away the story. Exactly.
It was written in 1943. You can't give away the story.
That's really not a great thing to do, but in any case, I didn't give too much of it away.
No.
But in any case, yes, it's got the same message with a twist. We've got this despairing man who wants to kill himself. So the angel comes and grants him this wish. To grant just means to give something to somebody that they wanted. You can get a grant to study at a university or something like that. That's a noun there, to get a grant, but here grant is being used as a verb. You can grant permission to somebody. Teacher, can I go to the bathroom? Yes, permission granted. You may go to the bathroom, but come right back after you're done.
That's right. But then the mysterious stranger shows him a world without him in it, a world where tragedy strikes those he loves, thus showing that even though he is filled with despair, he is very, very important and loved and needed by the people around him. And how will they feel if he suddenly removes himself from their lives by killing himself or by having this wish come true? So it would really affect a lot of the people around you, the people you think don't really care about you or would be fine without you. You feel like you're bringing trouble to them. No, in fact, you're helping them in so many ways that you just don't understand. So realizing his importance, George learns to value himself and cherish life as the greatest gift. Well, that's a great sort of moral lesson to learn, and it actually kind of sounds like a lot of psychology that people are talking about today. Love yourself, value yourself, even if you're not perfect every day. You're still a good person deep down, and you have your own gifts and things like that. So cherish life as the greatest of all gifts, or as the greatest gift. To cherish something is to sort of appreciate something. To have something, you know it's important, you value it, you take care of it, you don't take it for granted, you don't sort of say, whatever. No, it's important to you. So we cherish the people around us, we cherish those we love, and maybe if you have a time in your life when you've gone away from your family, or a time in your life when you could have possibly died or something, to come back from that kind of experience often makes people cherish these things even more, because you sort of face the reality of losing your health, losing your life, or not being able to see people if they die or something goes wrong, something unfortunate happens. So you learn to really love and appreciate the good things that you have and not dwell or worry or feel upset so much about the things that you can't control or the things that maybe are not so good. So cherish your life because other people do cherish you, even if you don't realize it. All right, there we go. A great great lesson. And yes, as we mentioned, It's a Wonderful Life is another holiday classic that I'm sure you could easily find to watch this Christmas season if you're in the mood. All right, we have one more paragraph to wrap things up, so let's check that one out, and then we will be back.
Though these works offer different interpretations of why Christmas is significant, they share a common truth. The season's meaning goes far beyond new presents or holiday meals. The stories remind us that the true spirit of Christmas lies in renewal, generosity, and appreciating the value of life itself. Lessons worth remembering every year.
第三部分介绍 interpretation。这个名词指的是诠释或是解释。举例来说 Mary is famous for her modern interpretation of traditional Spanish architecture. Mary 以对传统西班牙建筑做出现代诠释而著称。或是 Ellen's interpretation of the poem gave it a new meaning. Ellen 对那首诗的诠释赋予它新的意义。最后看到 generosity 这个名词表示慷慨或是大方。可以说Mrs. Smith's generosity towards charitable causes has positively impacted many in need. Smith 夫人对慈善事业的慷慨，对许多有需要的人有正面的影响。最后一个例子 Thanks to the generosity of people like you, we raised enough money to build a school. 感谢像你这样的人慷慨大方，我们筹到了足够的资金来建造一所学校。
Okay, this is our conclusion here, our final paragraph. It says, Though these works offer different interpretations of why Christmas is significant, they share a common truth. The season's meaning goes far beyond new presents or holiday meals. Okay, so these books have different kinds of interpretations of Christmas, and interpretation is just how you understand something. So if you have all sorts of different interpretations of events, for example, if somebody saw something happen, like a robbery or something, you might have people with different interpretations. Well, I think that person actually stole something. No, that person actually just kind of lost it or something. People will have different interpretations of how they see something. So yeah, these stories tell us different things about what Christmas is or what it means, but still they have something in common. The meaning goes beyond new presents or holiday meals. So again, it's more than just getting presents or eating a lot of food. The meaning goes beyond those commercial things. So to go beyond, it just means it has more meaning. There's something else to it that we need to understand.
The stories remind us that the true spirit of Christmas lies in renewal, generosity, and appreciating the value of life itself. Lessons worth remembering every year. So there you go. So these stories are bringing us back to that central idea of Christmas, some of the best messages we get from the Christmas story and from the Christmas season. So the true spirit of Christmas lies in renewal, sort of bringing yourself back to a better state, getting back with your family and having some good quality family time, slowing your life down to sort of appreciate the things you have in that kind of way that we can do more than we normally would during our busy normal lives. Generosity, the idea of giving, not just of gifts, but of course is important, but giving of your time, your love, the generosity that comes from your mom or your grandmother or your grandfather or your dad, whoever does all the Christmas cooking, the generosity of that Christmas feast, and appreciating the value of life itself. It's a time when people get together, both with family and with friends, to appreciate all the wonderful things and wonderful people in their lives and the things that those people bring to them. And these, as it says, are lessons worth remembering every year. Of course, the Christmas season kind of highlights that and brings that out a little bit more, both in the songs and in the time of the year in general, but also it's good to remember that, kind of have a little bit of Christmas in your heart every day of the year, because of course we could all do with renewal, generosity, and appreciating the value of life no matter what month it is in our calendar.
Right, Christmas is gone already, but we still have 5 days until New Year's Eve, so look forward to those fireworks in a couple of days. Okay, that brings us to the end of our lesson for today. Here comes Hanny.
各位同学大家好，我是 Hanny， 我们来看今天的文法重点。课文第一部分介绍了小气财神这一部作品，那故事里的主角 Scrooge 最后转变成这座古老城镇所认识的最良善的朋友、最良善的主人以及最良善的人。文中他用动词 transform 去表达转变、彻底改变的意思。那我们也来学习它的字首字根。先来看看 form 这个字根，它表示形式、形状、塑形或是使成型的意思。在 transform 这个字当中，字首 trans 这表示穿越或转变， form 表示形状、形式，那合在一起 transform 就可以表达使转变、转换或者是改变、改造。顺便补充几个有相同字根的单字，第一个是 uniform， 它的字首 uni 这表示单一， form 是形状，那么 uniform 可以当形容词来描述一致的、不变的，那么当名词可以表达制服。第二个补充 perform， 它的字首 per 有完全的意思， form 是形状。那同学们可以试着联想，我们把某事物的形状样貌完全的呈现出来，完全的表现出来，那就不难联想到 perform 它有执行、履行或是完成，也有表演、演出的意思。第三个 conform， 它的字首 con 它有共同的意思， form 是形式。那当每个人做事情都是依照相同的形式，按照共同的规范，也许可以联想到 conform 它有遵守、配合或是符合的意思。课文第三部分最后一句写道，这些故事提醒我们，真正的圣诞精神在于重生、慷慨以及珍惜生命本身的价值，这些都是每年值得铭记的教训。文中是用 The true spirit of Christmas lies in 来表达真正的圣诞精神在于什么什么。那这个片语 lie in something 是表达问题、解决方法等等，它存在于什么，在于什么什么。动词 lie 在这边是不及物用，那它的三态是 lie, lay, lain。举例来说， She believes that true happiness lies in sharing。 她认为真正的快乐在于分享。好，那还有一句话是说Beauty lies in the eye of the beholder， 字面意思是美存在于观看者的眼中，其实就是像中文说的情人眼里出西施。好，那么另外课文还有用到 worth remembering 来表达值得铭记，我们这边也整理一下 worth 的常见用法。首先它可以表达值多少钱的，那用法是 be worth 加上金额。举例来说， The vase is worth $50,000， 那只花瓶价值5万美元。第二个，我们可以表达说值得什么什么的，那它的用法会是 be worth 加上名词或动名词。例如 The night market is worth checking out， 那个夜市值得去看一看、逛一逛。好，以上就是今天重点整理，我们回顾今天单字吧。
Cruelty. Survivors of the terrorist attack spoke to reporters about the cruelty they had seen. Transform.The children watched in amazement as the caterpillar transformed into a butterfly. Despairing. She gave him a despairing look just before the emergency room doors closed. Grant. After a long wait, Stephanie was finally granted permission to speak at the meeting. Interpretation. Professor Hall's interpretation helped the students understand the painting better. Generosity. Graham showed his generosity.by giving Eric a place to stay when Eric's house got flooded.
Discussion Starter starts now!
It's time now for our discussion starter. The question is, what is your favorite Christmas story and why?
That's a really good question, and there are many, but of the three that we've sort of looked at today and yesterday, I would say my favorite Christmas story is A Christmas Carol. I like it best because maybe it's one of the original ones that I ever watched, and I think Scrooge's transformation is one of the most dramatic. He goes from being this really nasty, cruel man to becoming a very kind guy, and maybe also because it seems to highlight one of the biggest problems that I think we kind of have in our world now is this idea of greed. He's a very greedy man, he's a very selfish selfish man. He's very rich, but he's not generous with his money or his time or, of course, his affections either. So I think the sort of skewering of the idea of greed and how you can have everything, but if you die alone, it doesn't really matter how much money you have. I think that's a pretty good lesson for people to remember any time of year.
I would say that my favorite Christmas story is something called Ebby, which was a TV movie based on Ebenezer Scrooge.
Oh, okay.
Except they had the mean old man become a woman instead. The movie starred Susan Lucci as the kind of mean sort of boss lady in a company or something who was visited by the spirits of different people and stuff like that. And she turned over a new leaf. The reason I like that particular story is because I used to watch All My Children back in the 80s, and Susan Lucci starred in that soap opera. Well, that brings us to the end of another edition of our program, and please make sure you join us again next time. From all of us here, I am Roger.
I am Mike.
See you next time.